because we believe in the democratic process. And when we go all the way back to the American presidential election, we're going to find out that no matter what, if the person is elected that we didn't support, we're still going to be in there and get behind him because America's strong and we unite at the end.
So, in America, they have more than just a presidential election. They actually elect judges and administrators and some places even a dog catcher, I understand. But they give the people the chance to speak and to place their own people. I actually was in church on the Sunday before the election, and we prayed for well, he is the sheriff, he got re-elected, for Pulaski County, Arkansas. Doc Holliday came to our service for prayer and to tell us that he was standing for election on the Tuesday. I've got to tell you, Phil Wyrick didn't prevail. He didn't beat the incumbent. But I wanted us to discuss this clip in the context of certainly what's happening here in the UK. Jackie Smith put forward a white paper in July talking about, for instance, elections for the police authorities. Will that give the accountability that we need? Baroness Howells.
Well, I am with the Metropolitan Police on this. I believe in democracy, but I just wonder if it's one step too far. I believe local authorities should have responsibility for the local policing.
But if foot soldiers aren't being heard, is not democracy a way that we can make at least accountability at the end of a tenure to say, well, you didn't listen to us, and because you didn't listen to us, we don't want a deaf ear in that post anymore?
I would imagine some people would say that. At the moment, I'm not convinced.
I think that there is to totally replicate what goes on in America could be a bit of a, misnomer. It could be a bit dangerous for us here. I think that there is, I have heard views both to the advantage and disadvantage of what Jackie Smith has put together. Some people believe that, as a result of her decision, that's why Boris is taking the position as, obviously leading the MPA, and that's why Ian Blair was made to leave. And so there's a position as to the fact that, well, if she hadn't put that into place, then we won't have the situation that we've got with Ian Blair having to leave and us not having a clear definition of who our new commissioner is. So there's an argument for and against it. I think that in this particular case, as it's played out now, on the one hand, you might have a government that's quite clear about who they wanted as the commissioner, and then you've got a mayor who says, well, I don't want to go ahead with that.
But should that be a political decision in that way for governments to say, or should it not be a local?
How central is the decision and how rural is now, or how regional? Obviously, I believe in the devolution of power to the local communities. That's got to be real. That's why you've got leaders of councils, etc. Or in the regions, you've got a London mayor. That's democratic. I understand that process. But I am not too sure that when it comes to policing, we should devolve those powers. I feel that the police must be accountable, but I am not sure that that was the right decision. I have not totally secured my position on that. It's something I'm saying. I'm watching this space.
Going away from police, judges, your barrister, should the judges that you stand before be elected, or is the present system fine?
The answer is they should be, but I wish they weren't. I have a kind of couple of views on this. I mean, the first thing is I think the police should be elected, because I think there's a lot of political interference in policing, and I think most people's concerns are law and order, and if they're accountable to the populace on law and order, they will deliver on that. And they need to be accountable, a bit like zero-tolerance policies in New York. The judiciary, I'm afraid, is turning into a tragedy in this country, and I think there's been a number of political appointments on the judiciary anyway, and it's masquerading as they're not political. And I think many British citizens, I wonder if the panel would agree with me on this. I think we're teetering on the collapse of the rule of law. I think most people have no confidence when they go to the court what the law says, what group will win, whether it's political. I do these cases on crosses and hijab hijabs and Sikh bangles. You know what the result is before you go in that room, don't we? Don't we all? So
Because it's a political, not a judicial.
We have a desperate situation in Britain now, the collapse of the rule of law. We have politicians playing lawyers. When I read the Hansard reports, they're talking, this is what the law means. Well, you know, some of us have been 5 years at law school and we won't have that degree of confidence. Then it goes to the judges who do the politics. They do all the controversial decisions on same-sex marriage, all the stuff politicians don't want to touch because that's too hot a potato. We'll pass it on to a European court to come to that decision. We need to reverse it. The politicians need to do politics and the lawyers have got to do the law. And that's the solution. But at the moment, we have political judges who are unaccountable.
So we're kind of, well, let me go to you, Baroness Howells. You mentioned some misgivings about electing police, and actually you've gone on the side that you would prefer not to see the police chiefs elected. Do you think, as some have suggested, that with the voter apathy on main elections anyway, that this kind of suggestion that has been put forward may actually be a backdoor where minority pressure groups, even far-right BNP or whatever, could get their hands on the lever of really serious power to the detriment of the rest of our community? Or is that not a worry?
It is a worry. The BNP has already stated their position, that they can get on there and if they're elected. Now that frightens me. It really does. And that's why I said in the beginning, I'd like to give much more thought to what is being proposed. I believe that sometimes we go for change, and if we look back, we wish we hadn't. And I'm talking about individuals, not my party.
Not even Obama, whose whole thing was about change. So change is not always a good thing.
No, I didn't say that. I'm quite clear that things cannot go on as they are, okay? But I am not sure that I know the solution. Like when we were talking about parenting, I always believe that you have to nurture a child from conception. The law has to the end, but the law has changed that now. And I am looking to see if it is good, and I'm not sure on the policing matter. I have very strong views about the type of policing that I saw when I worked in the community. And we've had some changes, but I am still unclear, forgive me, but I am unclear whether an elected body would be the right body for policing in this country. I believe local policing is probably what I'm still hankering for. The local authority who has their area, their map, their roadmap about what's going, and they're elected to councils, and I believe it's their job.
You know, I'm going to make a very controversial statement. I do not support the values or the ethos of the BNP, but they are elected by people. Now, there has to be a discussion as to the values of the electorate or the educational information the electorate have. If we believe in democracy, then we have a responsibility to allow the people to decide who they feel is best to govern them and to make decisions on their behalf. I have lived in Barking and Dagenham, a typical example, and having lived in Barking and Dagenham, where you have the largest number of BNP councillors in the UK, the people there have made, and I've hosted leadership breakfast conferences with members of the community and the police and the chief executives and MPs there. Now, members of that community are quite clear as to why they've made those decisions. Now, what we have to do is be able to effectively respond to the concerns in those communities where they feel that their views are not being heard and the BNP are better to express their concerns. Now, if we are, I don't think we should be afraid. I'm not trying to state, I think we need to be clear that I agree with a point you've just raised. Will we find more political engagement? Should we have a broader remit of democracy in different strands of our